10,000 pounds of muscle just walked into your home. That's not an exaggeration. That's a Tuesday for a Paleolithic human. Picture this. You're 25,000 years ago. You just walked into a cave to shelter for the night, and something is already living there, something the size of a small car. The cave bear, standing over 10 feet tall on its hind legs, weighing up to 1,100 pounds, bigger than a modern grizzly, bigger than almost anything that walked on land at the time. And here's the twist. You didn't build your home. You had to fight for it. Cave bears didn't just wander into caves. They lived in them, hibernated in them, gave birth in them. For thousands of years, the best real estate on Earth already had a tenant. So why would ancient humans risk their lives to move in anyway? Because shelter meant survival, and survival meant war with a bear the size of a small elephant. Here's the part that should freak you out. Cave bears weren't hunters. They mostly ate plants, roots, berries, nuts. Some scientists think their diet was over 90% vegetarian, but size doesn't care what you eat. A cornered cave bear defending its den, its cubs, its territory. That's not a vegetarian. That's a wrecking ball with claws. Now here's where it gets strange. Ancient humans didn't just fear this animal, they worshipped it. In 1917, a researcher named Emil Beckler excavated a cave in Switzerland called Drachenloch, Dragon's Den. What he found stopped everyone in their tracks. Cave bear skulls, stacked deliberately, arranged in stone boxes, some placed facing the cave entrance like sentries. This wasn't trash. This looked like ritual. Beckler's theory exploded through archaeology. He believed Neanderthals had built a bear cult, a religion tens of thousands of years before the pyramids, built around fear and respect for one animal. Let that sink in. Before writing, before farming, before the wheel, humans may have already been building shrines to something that could kill them in 3 seconds. Not everyone agrees with Beckler today. Some modern researchers argue those skull arrangements happen naturally, from cave-ins and sediment, not human hands. The debate is still alive. But here's what isn't debated. In Chauvet Cave in France, one of the oldest painted caves on Earth at around 30,000 years old, someone placed a cave bear skull deliberately on a rock in the center of the chamber, surrounded by paintings of lions, rhinos, and bears on the walls around it. That's not an accident. That's a shrine. Let's zoom out and ask the real question. Why does an animal become sacred? Psychologists studying ancient belief systems point to one pattern. Humans deify what they cannot control. What could kill them instantly, without warning, without mercy? The cave bear checked every box. It could kill a grown man with one swipe. It lived in the exact spaces humans needed to survive winter. And it disappeared into hibernation every year, like it was dying and being reborn. To an ancient mind with no science, no biology textbook, that's not hibernation, that's resurrection. Layer 1, the cave bear was a physical threat, bigger and stronger than anything humans had weapons for. Layer 2, it was a rival for the single resource that meant survival. Shelter from the cold. Layer 3, its yearly disappearance and return may have looked like a god who died and came back every single year. Fear, competition, and mystery, all wrapped in one enormous animal. Let's kill a myth right here, myth. Cave bears were mindless killing machines that hunted humans. That's mostly false. Isotope studies on cave bear bones, published by researchers like Hervé Bocherens in the 2000s, show most cave bear populations ate almost no meat at all. Truth. The danger wasn't predation, it was defense. A mother cave bear protecting cubs in a den, or an animal startled in the dark, was far deadlier than a hunting bear would have been. Here's another one people get wrong. Myth. Neanderthals hunted cave bears constantly for food. Evidence suggests direct confrontation was rare and risky. Truth. Most human-bear interaction was about competing for cave space, not combat for meat. Humans didn't want cave bear steaks. They wanted the cave. So how do you evict a 1,000-pound tenant? Some researchers believe early humans used fire, smoke driven into a cave entrance to force a hibernating bear out, groggy and disoriented, easier to kill or scare off. Others think humans simply waited. Cave bears hibernated for months. If a family found an empty den in early winter, before the bear returned, they might claim it first. Either way, this was a calculated risk taken again and again, across tens of thousands of years, by people with wooden spears and stone tools against an animal that could end them in one hit. Now here's the insight that reframes everything. The cave bear went extinct around 24,000 years ago. Scientists still debate why. Climate change, shrinking habitat, and yes, possibly human pressure on the same caves and resources, which means one of the very first things humans may have influenced into extinction wasn't a pest, it was a god. Think about that. The most feared, most sacred animal in early human spiritual life may have vanished partly because humans needed the very thing that made it sacred: its cave. Every religion that came after has some version of the same story. A powerful, terrifying force that humans could not fully control, so they built rituals around it instead. The cave bear might be the very first version of that instinct, written in bone, stone, and shadow, tens of thousands of years before anyone wrote it in a book. Ancient humans didn't just survive the cave bear, they built meaning out of fear itself. And in a strange way, we're still doing that today. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe. There's a lot more history hiding in the dark.